Welcome, everybody. We'll get started in just a minute. We're going to wait for more of our participants to trickle in. All right, we will go ahead and get started. And welcome everybody to the Data-Driven Distributed Solar Visibility Prize, also known as the 3D Solar Visibility Prize. My name is Kaylee Isaacs, and I am a prize lead with the National Renewable Energy Laboratory. I work on the American-Made Challenges program, which is a wonderful, and this prize is a part of that program. And I'm so excited to tell you more about the 3D prize, or 3D Solar Visibility Prize, excuse me. So before we get into the prize, I wanted to go over a few housekeeping items. First is audio options. You can listen through your computer or your phone. We'll be doing live questions today at the end of the presentation. To ask any of your questions, you can ask throughout the presentation, but we'll be answering them at the end, about 15 minutes at the end here if we have time. Anyways, you can use the Q&A box to submit your questions. And if we are not able to answer your questions today, we will answer them in writing and post them on HeroX. So we will have written responses to everyone's questions following today's webinar. Additionally, if you have any trouble with today's webinar, please feel free to chat our webinar host, Carly Ortiz, and she will get you, assist you to the best of her ability. And also, we will be recording today's webinar and we'll be posting them onto HeroX along with the slides after today's presentation. So today we'll talk through the prize overview, the process of the prize, how to apply through HeroX, and the technical details and scoring of this prize. And then again, we'll close out the prize, this webinar, by answering your questions through a Q&A. First, I'd like to just quickly chat about the American-Made program. We're really excited to host the 3D Solar Visibility Prize. And for those unfamiliar with the American-Made program, it is powered by the U.S. Department of Energy and administered by the National Renewable Energy Lab. And it is supposed to be incentivizing innovation through prizes, training, teaming, and mentoring. If you'd like to learn more about American-Made or join our amazing network, please visit americanmadechallenges.org and to learn more about what we do. All right, and then before we dive into the prize, I would highly encourage you to read through the official prize rules. You can find them on HeroX under the resources tab. We also just updated the prize metrics and the rules to be more simplified, so please check them out before you apply. And again, it's very important to read these official rules before you apply because it contains important information for you. And then lastly, the 3D Solar Visibility Prize is part of the new Grid Resource Integration Technologies Prize Series, also known as GRIT. This is a joint effort from DOE's Office of Electricity and the Solar Energy Technologies Office. This prize series catalyzes research and development on grid modernization through large-scale integration of renewable technology, distributed resources, and stationary storage. The 3D Solar Visibility Prize was launched in conjunction with the OE's, or Office of Electricity's, Science Synthesis Prize. And the Science Synthesis Prize, is a competition to expand the renewable energy research community, catalyze transdisciplinary scholarship and practice, and generate new and comprehensive knowledge on the current state of science in renewable integration. So follow the Science Synthesis Prize on HeroX for more information on the upcoming Grit Prize Series initiatives, and competitors are encouraged to apply to one or both prizes. All right, let's get into the 3D Solar Visibility Prize. The 3D Solar Visibility Prize has 3 goals. First, to increase stakeholder awareness of the state-of-the-art and data-driven models and algorithms that provide accurate understanding of the electricity voltage, load, and power generation amounts, known as state estimation, including the contribution from distributed solar energy resources. The second goal is to demonstrate the feasibility of fair, transparent, and uniform evaluations of computation models and algorithms using the publicly available open source data and software platform Open Energy Data Initiative Solar Integration, also known as ODSI. ODSI, a collaboration among multiple national labs with the support of CETO, will serve as the benchmarking platform. And our last goal is to promote the adoption and use of these models and algorithms by researchers and industry practitioners to evaluate distribution network modeling, analysis algorithms using transparent and uniform metrics and specifications. So with these 3 goals in mind, the prize was designed to incentivize innovators to develop models and algorithms that can provide accurate and real-time information about distributed solar generation and electric power distribution networks. Overall, the prize will enhance the reliability and resilience of electric power distribution networks that have large amounts of solar generation. This prize is a one-phase prize that offers up to a total of $175,000 in cash prizes. Interested competitors will submit their intent to compete submission package, and then if eligible, competitors will then submit their DSSE solutions for 2 distribution system networks through the ODSI platform every day for 14 consecutive days. If you're interested in this prize, make sure that you're eligible to compete first. So this prize is open to institutions, companies, nonprofit organizations, or individuals. Additionally, you must be based in the United States to be able to participate in this prize. You can find more information about the eligibility requirements in the official rules document. And as mentioned previously, this is a $175,000 prize. We will be awarding up to 2 winners who will receive $50,000 each. And there will be up to 3 runners-up who will receive $25,000 each. All right, now that we know what the prize is and what we are trying to do, let's talk about the process to apply for this prize. Here are some important dates in our timeline for this prize. So first, you must sign up on HeroX, which is our prize platform, in order to compete. I'll talk about HeroX in just a little bit, but that's your first step. Next, you will need to submit your intent to compete package by July 10th. If you are eligible, you will get access to historical data no later than July 15th by 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Eligible and registered competitors will be able to participate in a technical webinar on July 17th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And then from July 15th through August 11th, competitors can do model training on historical data and pseudo measurement analysis. We're giving you 4 weeks to prepare before the actual competition period begins. There will be a practice week on the ODSI platform from August 5th through August 9th. And then finally, the actual 2-week competition period will happen from August 12th through August 25th. We anticipate announcing our winners in October of this year. Winners and non-winners will be notified through email, but you can also stay up to date on the prize and who wins by following us, the prize on HeroX. And in order to compete in this prize, all competitors must submit an intent to compete submission package by July 10th by 5 p.m. Eastern Time. You will need to complete the cover page on HeroX, upload a PowerPoint summary slide, and upload an intellectual property licensing agreement if applicable. The intent to compete package is completed through our prize platform, again, HeroX. Again, you must create a free account and then click on follow the prize and then click on how to solve this challenge to begin filling out your submission. If you are eligible, then you will be able to participate in the competition period and submit your results through the ODSI platform. This is the only item that will be scored, and we'll talk more about the ODSI in just a minute. So the first item on your intent to compete package is the cover page. The cover page is not a separate upload and will be completed through HeroX. On the cover page, please list the following information: your team name, which will be made public. Your key team members, include their names, their contact information, any links to professional websites or LinkedIn profiles. You will need to provide the competitor's city and state, and this will be made public. Please provide your 9-digit zip code, a statement of whether the competitor's organization currently provides distribution state estimation algorithms commercially, and the partners and affiliates who significantly helped competitors develop their model, if applicable. The next item that you need to complete for your intent to compete package is the submission summary slide. This will need to be uploaded on HeroX as a PDF. You should make a public-facing one-slide submission summary containing technically specific details about the competitor's DSSE algorithm, and that can be understood by most people. We do not have a template for this, so you can be creative, but please make sure that it has the technically specific details about your DSSE algorithm. And then this will be made public after the competition period ends. Lastly, you will need to submit any intellectual property licensing agreements, if applicable, as a PDF upload on HeroX. So you will only need to upload this if this is applicable for your submission. If this is applicable to you, provide documentation showing that competitors have secured access to the intellectual property underlying their distribution state estimation algorithms from the relevant institution where it was originally developed, where applicable. Again, this will be uploaded as a PDF. All right, so now that I have talked about what is required to submit by July 10th, I'm going to give us a quick HeroX live demo. And HeroX is, again, our prize platform for the 3D Solar Visibility Prize, and the only way you will be able to submit for this prize. So and Carly has dropped into the chat the HeroX prize link, so please follow along there, and let me just pull up HeroX. 1 second. All right, so here is the HeroX page. Again, herox.com/3D Solar Visibility Prize. Here you'll find the summary. This is just an overview of the prize here. Our timeline, if you want to check out all of the important dates for this prize, this is where you're going to see. Currently, we're at our informational webinar, our submission deadline, and all of the other information here. And then updates, any important information that we're going to post about this prize will be updated here. So you can see that we just updated the rules and we have published them. So please check that out. If you have any questions, go to our challenge forum and ask your questions. We'll be able to answer your questions here. We'll try and get back to you within 48 hours. But also this is helpful too if you're a competitor and maybe somebody's already asked your question, and instead of waiting on us, you can check out our forum to see if someone else has already asked that same question. And then resources, this is where you're going to find our rules. We also have power connectors that I'll talk about in just a little bit, and that's another resource for you. But first, you're going to want to make sure that you are following the prize, and then you can begin your entry here. And this is where you'll begin to create your submission. So these are items that are required by HeroX, just your title. You do not need to give a short description, but you can. It's helpful for us too. As then you can upload an image if you would like. But this is where it is going to be more important information that you are required to fill out. So first you need to make sure that you're eligible for this prize. And then here is where you're going to start submitting for your intent to compete. So as I had said, the cover page, this is not a separate upload where I was saying your team name, your key team members, your location, 9-digit zip code. This is where you're going to fill out that information here. And then you're going to upload your submission summary slide as a PDF. And then if you have any intellectual property licensing agreements, this is where you will also upload those documents. So that is HeroX. If you, again, have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A about HeroX. You can also post them on the forum, or you can send us an email at data.driven@nrel.gov. All right, give me 1 second. All right, so moving on from our HeroX demo, I am going to pass it over to our colleague, Vishnu, who is from the US Department of Energy, who is going to talk more about the Open Energy Data Initiative Solar Integration, or so ODSI, as well as the technical details and scoring. So over to you, Vishnu.
Kelly, I think Kamal is here. I would like Kamal to chime in. Kamal, can you?
Oh, so sorry. Yeah, Kamal or Vishnu, please. We'd love to hear from either one of you talk about these items.
Yeah, Kamal is definitely the right person. So Kamal, if you do not have connection issue or anything, yeah, please go ahead, take it over.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, let me try. If I have any problems, I'll pass it back over to you. So, hi everybody, this is Kamal Çelik. I'm a technology manager at Systems Integration, and my colleague Vishnu is helping us with this prize as well. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so we have, if you read the rules document carefully, we are asking for a time series analysis using distribution state estimation. So this is, the competitors will be running snapshots every 15 minutes for 12 hours. So that's 4 times 12 per day. You will be submitting 48 results. And, every day by 5 p.m. Eastern Time, using OEDI-SI, you will be uploading the estimated state variables. Those are voltage magnitudes and phase angles. The measurement residuals, any bad data detected, if any, and then any distribution network topology change detected, again, if any. Again, I'd like to emphasize these results will be submitted using the Open Energy Data Initiative for Systems Integration. So there will be more details coming in the technical webinar we are planning to present, I believe, on July 17th. So if you fail to upload, let's say, a daily result or any of the snapshots, that will end up in lower scores for you, and we will come back to that later, because the daily and final scores will be simple averages of all the snapshots that you will be providing your results for. So if you upload your results after the submission deadline, unfortunately, we will have to reject those because we are also measuring the performance of your algorithms. But if you, let's say, miss one day, that should not stop you from uploading your results for the future days, for the coming days, because again, the metrics will be a simple average for all the snapshots. If for some reason OEDISI, it's a web portal, as you may understand, there might be some technical problems. If it's offline for some reason, then that day will not be included in the scores. So the way we will create the measurements is using a standard power flow. We will get the perfect measurements, and then we will simulate certain different scenarios using those perfect measurements. For example, we will add random errors to simulate the the noise that we see in field measurements. And after you submit your results, our technical team will perform some metrics, and then you will receive a daily performance report that will include references to your results and the metrics we are using. We will not include results from the other competitors, and if you have entered a prize before with us, you will know that your organization or you will be anonymized, so nobody will be able to really tell exactly who's doing how. Thank you. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, now on to technical details and how we will score. Next slide. So we are using 3 metrics for this prize. Distribution state estimation is quite a complex algorithm, as you all know. We tried to simplify the metrics as much as possible. So the first metric is the mean absolute error for the state variables. M2 is a bonus for the number of bad data correctly detected and identified, if any. Meaning that there might, if you have, false alarms regarding bad data, you will not, that will not count to the final score. And then the M3 is for topology changes detected and identified correctly. Again, a simple summation of M1, M2, M3 as the estimation skill. We will have 15-minute snapshots for 12 hours. That's 48 snapshots. And then the state estimation skill will be a simple average of those 15-minute interval snapshots. And at the end of the competition, it's a 14-day competition. We will just take a final average of 14 days. Next slide, please. So here it gets a little bit, sort of complex for the first metric. That's the mean absolute error for the state variables. So the voltage magnitude are in per unit, and then the phase angles, we expect you to report them in radians. As such, we decided that the upper and the lower limits will be different because, per unit versus radians angles have different meanings. So we will calculate them the same way within the intervals, so that it's going to be just a linear function. but the limits, the lower and the upper limits are different. So for the voltage magnitude, that's the first one you are seeing there, M1 will be a perfect score of 1 if your average absolute error is less than 0.005, and then it's going to be -1 if it's larger than 0.02. So that corresponds to a 0.5% to 2% in per units. And then for the radians, I don't see the bottom. I don't remember right now, but the upper limit, the lower limit is 0.017 radians, and then the upper limit is 0.09 in radians. So again, if you participated in our prizes before, there might be some changes to these upper and lower limits. We are doing some experiments with the network models that we will use. If you read the rules document, we will be using 2 synthetic network models to produce the perfect measurements using power flow results. So we are working on, fine-tuning these thresholds. There might be some changes to these thresholds, but for now, as you can see, they are different for voltage magnitudes and then the voltage angles. Next page, please. So M2, these are bonus points. M2 is, results for coming in as bonus points. So in the snapshots, we will introduce either bad data meaning gross errors in the measurements, or we will introduce topology changes by changing the switch statuses from off to on or on to off. So M2 is it's the results in bonus points for the number of bad data correctly detected and identified. So you will receive 0.2 as a bonus point if you detect and identify all the bad data. And then I'm not going to read the result, but as you can see, it gets lower as you detect less and less. So there's a catch here. When you upload your, the bad data that you detected and identified, you will have to report their locations and the ID of that bad data, and those will have to match the bad data we are simulating in the measurement. In other words, you cannot just say we detected 4 bad data without telling us where they are and what their identification numbers are. Those have to match with ours. This is one way to make the competition as transparent as possible. The other point about the bad data detection identification is, although this is, a prize against any snapshots, the goal is to for the competitors to prove that their algorithms they work really well, they are robust, so they also need to be general and scalable. That's why we are asking for you to, when you upload your algorithms, either in binary format or in open source format, we are asking the competitors to tell us about their bad data detection and identification approaches. As I mentioned before, the manual or arbitrary, reporting of gross errors bad data will not be acceptable. Next slide, please. M3 is the same, but it's for the topology changes. Again, when we provide the historical and the network data, you will get a list of the switch positions in the network topology information. So the topology changes will be simulated only at those switch locations. Again, once more, we will not simulate bad data and topology changes in the same snapshot. And then there's a typo there about the values of M3. The subscript should read 3. It's just a typo, but again, if you can detect and identify them correctly, all of 100%, then you will get the top score for M3. That's 0.2, and then you will get lower and lower bonus points as you identify and detect less and less. Similar to the bad data, the information that you will provide us have to specify the location of the topology changes. You cannot just arbitrarily report topology changes. They have to match the changes that we made for that snapshot. And again, just like the bad data detection and identification, your topology change detection and identification needs to be scalable, and it needs to be and robust. So you will have to define how you're detecting the topology changes. And I think that kind of summarizes all we have, Kelly, on the technical side.
Yes, thank you so much, Kamal. And yes, apologies about the typo here. This is for M3. All right. So now that everyone knows how to more about the prize and how to apply and how we are going to score in these prize metrics, let's talk about our next steps and our resources for competitors. So a resource for our competitors are our power connectors. Power connectors can support competitors by answering their questions, providing general feedback on your submission materials, and providing general support for the prize. We have 2 power connectors that you can connect with, ADL Ventures and Entrepreneur Futures Network, also known as EFN. This slide has their contact information, but you can also find it on HeroX under the resources tab. We highly recommend you reach out to these power connectors if you have any questions or need general support. They are completely free to you. So if you, again, just need some support, please reach out to these power connectors. Additionally, each of these power connectors have some webinars coming up where they will be diving into the prize and answering your questions or providing support. So please contact them today. Again, you can find their contact information under the resources tab on HeroX. If you are already, if you're ready to get started on the prize, please make sure you follow these next steps. So first, follow the prize on HeroX, create your account and follow the prize. Read the rules. This is your guide and your key to this prize. This has all the information that you need for this prize. Post any of your questions to the HeroX forum. Again, this is great to post your questions on the HeroX forum, so then that way we can answer your questions. Other people can see your questions and see our answers. It's helpful for them as well. So think about your fellow competitors when you're posting your questions to the forum. Contact a power connector for additional support or any questions. They are a resource and they are free for you to use. So please connect with a power connector. If you have any additional questions, you can email us at data.driven@nrel.gov. And don't forget to submit your intent to compete by July 10th by 5 p.m. Eastern time. We won't accept any late submissions, so make sure that you get yours in time. We have a little bit over a month for you to complete your submission. All right, now is time for our Q&A. If you'd like to ask a question, please utilize the Q&A button. Do not use the chat function as we may not be able to see it. Questions may be answered live, but all questions will be answered in writing on HeroX. We'll post them after the webinar in a few days. So let's get started on some of these questions. Kamal and Vishnu and Ray, if you could help answer some of these questions, we have some technical questions here. So our first one, do we only upload the results or also the models to DOE? Vishnu or Kamal or Ray, do you have an answer for this? No, you're all good. Technical issues. That's all good.
No, we are asking for the uploads. I'm not sure what they mean by models, but we will ask competitors to upload their algorithms again, either in a binary format or in as a open source. But I don't exactly know what they mean by models. So if they have more specifics, they can always email us, and then we will promptly get back to them. Thanks.
Thanks, Kamal. All right, and our next one, there's two questions to this. In the HeroX submission package, do the state estimation codes need to be included? What is the deadline for uploading the state estimation codes? Is it August 12th? And then the second question for the summary slide in the HeroX submission package, is it limited to one slide? For that submission summary slide, it is only one slide. Please only keep it as one PDF slide. And then for the state estimation codes to be included, I don't think I quite understand that question, Kamal. Do you?
Yeah, so that will be the day before the competition starts. Again, for if you read the rules document, we need a way to make the competition transparent and fair. For that particular reason, we'll be auditing some of the results that have been uploaded to OEDI-SI. So to be able to do the audits, we will need at least the binary executable so that we can execute, and then we can make sure that the results reported are the same as that the algorithm is providing. But that date is actually after the training has been done, because we are expecting machine learning based algorithms as well as physics-based algorithms. So the physics-based algorithms can use the historical data to create pseudo measurements. And of course, the machine learning-based algorithms can train their models using that historical data. So the deadline to upload the codes, the binary code, or the code, an open source code, by the beginning of the competition.
Thanks, Kamal. I'm getting some questions regarding eligibility, and just please read the official rules about eligibility and those requirements. If you have any further questions on eligibility, please reach out to us again on the HeroX forum, or you can contact us at data.driven@nrel.gov. On to our next question here. What solar PV data, if any, will be provided?
With regards to that, we will only provide the measurements. So right now, currently state estimators do not have access to the 15-minute solar independent, profiles. So we will not be providing the solar PV profiles.
Our next question, for the line model, do we need to consider the mutual coupling between phase lines?
That's up to you, but the more detailed your algorithm is, the better more accurate answers you will get. So the mutual coupling, will have an impact on the accuracy of the results.
Okay, our next question, it is mentioned the model parameters will be provided on Open DSS. Will it be possible to have it in other formats or even in a plain CSV file? Or otherwise we have to put some efforts to learn and use Open DSS, as this is not really the purpose of the competition, rather focus on developing the data-driven algorithms.
So yeah, that's a challenging, question or a challenging, problem. Which format to provide the network models? And I mean, the measurements, I guess we can use regular CSV files, but please stay tuned for that. And we are discussing that to make sure that, people do not have to learn a different algorithm or software package to be able to compete. So we are considering IEEE format, for example, or maybe some other format that might be more common.
All right, next question is topology change detection or switch status change detection estimated with respect to base case.
I'm sorry, I don't see it on my screen. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, is topology change detection or switch status change detection estimated with respect to base case?
Yes, yeah. The way, we plan to simulate the field data is start with some random errors and then add some, gross errors. And then in some snapshots, use topology changes with respect to the base case, the base network file.
All right, our next question, and we have about 15 minutes of time. In the rules, it is stated that the model will be uploaded to ODSI before the competition week. Are we expected to not change the algorithm during the competition week, or will we be able to change the algorithm during the competition week based on the results provided at the end of each day?
No, you will not be able to modify your algorithms. Again, the algorithms need to be robust and scalable and not specific to a certain, to certain conditions. So we will audit your results using the algorithm or the binary file you uploaded at the beginning of the competition.
All right, next question, will the historical data provided have the same format as the data provided during the competition?
Well, so the historical data will have more information than the data that we'll provide during the competition. So, but in like, the topology, where the topology changes were in the historical data, we will provide that information with regard to the initial network topology. Or if we have bad data in some portions of the network, we will also specify those. But during the competition, we will provide you with just the measurements in a CSV format, what type they are, where they are located, etc.
All right, our next question, how to penalize false positives in M2 and M3? What if I predict bad data for every measurement? In that case, I successfully identify all bad data, but I also falsely identify all good data as bad data.
So you will have to specify when you identify and detect any bad data or topology changes, you will have to specify which those bad measurements are, and you will have to specify what those topology changes are. And then you cannot just, arbitrarily predict a number of bad data or a topology change. We had a much more complex, M2 and M3, but we decided to simplify those because we were getting a lot of questions. So we decided, in terms of the false positives, we would not penalize you. You will just get a, score of 0 if let's say you say I detected 3 bad data and these are M5, M10, and M15. And then, if in fact, in actuality, if there are 4 bad data and they are in locations 2, 11, and 16, then you will not get any, bonus points at all. Just, saying that I identified a number of bad data, you will not get any bonus points. Now, there might be some cases where you would say, I did, detect and identify some bad data at, let's say, M3 and M13, but maybe there are no bad data in the measurement set. We decided not to penalize, your score with respect to that because implicitly your state variables are also telling us how accurately you are filtering that data anyway.
All right, can we have our work algorithm in a GitHub repository and then submit the GitHub link to ODSI platform as our submission, or should it be in a specific format?
So, yes, it has to be through OEDI-SI. OEDI-SI does use, I forgot now, one of those hubs, might be Docker Hub or GitHub, but you will have to use our OEDI-SI. There will be tools to upload your algorithm to OEDI-SI. Again, if you do not want to make it public, you can either, provide like a binary Docker container, or you could also, we will have private users, but we will use only OEDI-SI. And there will be more details coming. So we will have 1 week of practice with OEDI-SI. A lot of your questions will be answered during that week. And we will also have a technical webinar mid-July. Thanks.
Thanks, Kamal. Yes, we'll have that technical webinar on July 17th for those that have registered by July 10th. And that's submit to intent to complete package, excuse me. All right, our next question regarding topology changes. Will we have access to the bus breaker model, or do we need to consider those changes only in the bus branch model?
Yeah, so for this prize, we are planning to use only the bus branch model. We will only, provide extra information regarding where the switches are. So, yeah, we will only provide bus branch model. We will not get into more complicated bus breaker models.
All right, our next question, if my algorithm is based on MATLAB, should I provide MATLAB source code?
That's a good question. I have to take that to our technical team. Yeah, let me, misdirect anyone here. Right now, we do not, OEDI-SI does not work with any, source software that needs a license. But if you could email that question, I will take it up with our technical team. Thanks.
Right. Is that correct that we can tune our DSSE using the data from ODSI during July 15th to August 4th?
I believe so. I have to look at the schedule one more time. But yeah, please email that question. I don't want to misdirect. That that's a very good question. Please do email us so that even if someone does not have access to this webinar, they will have that fine, granularity of the timeline.
All right. And we have just less than 10 minutes. And we have lots of questions still. So again, we're trying to get through all of our questions, but we will be writing a response to every single question and posting them on HeroX. Our next question, do we need to submit the source code?
Yes, in one form or another. Again, we will have to audit your results so that people do not arbitrarily, upload some solutions. So you will have to upload your code. Again, it could be in a binary format that we can run. That's okay. But we will have to have a reference in OEDISI.
Kamal, our next question, I think you already touched on this a little bit, but can you again talk about how large the historical data that they'll have access to?
The answer, I don't remember right now. I think we are going back like 3 months of historical data. So please email that. I'm not sure if it's 3 months or 6 months, but yeah, somewhere around there.
Thanks, Kamal. And again, you can email us your questions, but we will also be answering these questions on HeroX as well. They will be written there. Next question, will the measurements be provided in per unit or actual values? Are we expected to execute state estimation in per unit, or is it up to us?
It's up to you. We will provide the units of the measurements that we will be uploading to OEDISI. So depending on the type of the measurement, you will always know if they are per unit or if they are in actual values.
Okay, next question. Does it allow to submit state estimation codes for multiple times prior to the deadline? Also during the competition, can we modify the state estimation code and resubmit them into the platform?
I'm not sure if I understand the first part. Does it allow to submit data? No, no. The answer to this question, I think we answered this a few times. You cannot modify your algorithm as the competition evolves. You will have to have, one upload at the beginning of the prize, and we will not entertain changes to your algorithms or your codes during the competition.
Thanks, Kamal. So again, for everybody, please read the official rules for the prize requirements, but you will not be able to change that model once you have submitted it by July 10th. All right, next question. To confirm, during the 14 consecutive days, we will be given a fresh set of data every single day to evaluate our model. And are the metrics calculated every single day or only at the 14th day?
They will be calculated every day. So you will be submitting results for 15 minutes intervals for 12 hours. Those are 48 snapshots. And then there was one question, I think, one about there might be a change from a snapshot to the next. So at our, let's say, 1 p.m., there may not be any bad data simulated, but at our 1:15 p.m. time interval or snapshot, there might be a bad data or there might be more than one bad data. And then we may go back to the normal, operations like with no that data, let's say around, I'm just making these numbers up, around 2:30 p.m. So each snapshot will be an individually independent information to your algorithms, and your algorithms need to be able to detect and identify any bad data or topology changes for each snapshot. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Kamal. We're going to answer one more question before we wrap up, since we have about 5 minutes till. The next question here, when you say that the algorithm should be scalable, do you mean that the algorithm should be able to handle any new grid topology?
Yes, and so as I mentioned during the webinar, we will use, and this is also mentioned in the rules document. This is a 14-day competition. In the first 7 days, we will use one synthetic network model, and in the second, we will use another different network model. And the historical data, of course, that we will provide will be with respect to both those network models. So to answer your question, yes, your algorithm should of course be robust to be used for any network file.
Great. Thank you, Kamal.
Or any network model. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Thank you, Kamal. And thank you, everybody. We are about at time today. Thank you so much for attending today's 3D Solar Visibility Prize. Again, this webinar is being recorded, and we will be posting this webinar along with the slides onto HeroX. After this webinar, it'll be up by either by the end of this week or early next week. So stay tuned to HeroX. Additionally, all of your questions that have been asked, whether answered or unanswered, will be posted onto HeroX with a written response. So you can, if you have one of these questions and we were not able to get to it, stay tuned to HeroX and we'll have that answer up by next week. Additionally, if you have any other questions, please post them to the HeroX forum, and we'll get back to you within 48 hours. You can also contact us at data.driven@nrel.gov. And lastly, please utilize the power connectors. They are here to support you. We posted into the chat their contact information, as well as some of their upcoming webinars that are coming up. So please contact those power connectors for the additional support. And don't forget to submit your intent to compete by July 10th. Thank you all.